Have you ever found yourself in a situation where it really wasn't what you thought and it wasn't maybe going in the way you had hoped, and you're kind of sitting there trying to decide, well, what do I do? Do I change? Am I failing? Do I just need a bit of a tweak? Who's going to help me? How do I figure it out? Well, if you've ever been in that situation, stay tuned. What if there are things we never had the opportunity to learn? We've all been to school or training, but there are things they never taught us that actually make a powerful difference in life. I'm here to share with you all the pieces you've been missing: mindset, health, success, and more. And we'll all learn together from guests along the way. We may not have learned it the traditional way, but oh my goodness, let's keep learning how to do things differently. OMG, hello, my friends. It is episode 89 of OMG Teach Me. Good grief. OMG, you might say. So I've been hinting for a couple weeks now that something big is coming. So today's episode is going to be all about what to do when things don't go as you imagined. And yes, I will tell you what is coming and what the big news is. And I'm also going to tell you why, because I think we can all apply this to so many situations we find ourselves in. So first of all, thank you for listening to this episode of OMG Teach Me and to any episodes that you've listened to. Over the past, I guess, year and a half plus a bit, we launched in May of 2023. Over that period of time, this podcast has had consistent growth. When I started, I had taken a little e-course about podcast, and I learned that I needed a mic, and I learned what a podcast hosting platform was, and I learned a few other basic things like that, and then I jumped in, and I will still now and always tell you, here's lesson number 1. Yes, it is a good idea to just jump in when you have something that really feels right. I was just having this feeling in my gut. My intuition was spiking. I was getting signs all over the place that this would be a way that I could share some of the amazing lessons I had learned over the past few years of reinventing myself, and also help other people to be able to share, to create that platform. And I have done that, and I am thrilled with whichever of those episodes you enjoyed. Now, over that period of time, we have had consistent growth. The numbers consistently are rising. And in case you're not a podcast nerd like me and you don't realize, downloads is one of the most looked at measures, I think is the word I'm looking for podcast growth. And my download numbers, which I track every month, are growing. We also can see how many plays. Now, we can't see who, don't worry. We can't see exactly when. We can see which countries in the world there are people listening in. We can see which episodes have the most downloads. We can see the number of plays and whether they're going up and down. So consistent growth in downloads and consistent growth with a little bit of up and down in plays, and certainly a very cool reach around the world. If you are not in the US, Canada, or UK, which are the top 3 countries for this podcast right now, then welcome and hello. I don't want to leave out Australia and New Zealand. We've got listeners there too, but so many other countries as well. I also loved that over this period of time, I've gotten a lot of positive feedback from you as listeners. Some of you sent me a voice note that I included in a Friday episode. I was doing those for about 6 months, and that was fun. Some of you have dropped me a note on social media, on mostly Instagram or LinkedIn. Some of you I have seen in person at various networking events, and you have mentioned to me that you have enjoyed the podcast. I had someone come up to me at a large industry event and say that you love the podcast, and that was amazing. So positive feedback is wonderful. And I, goodness sakes, am thankful to have met so many fascinating guests on this podcast. We have talked about everything from equine therapy and therapy dogs to how to sleep better and how to look more stylish and why you need to get dressed and how to think about money and everything in between. Lots of different ways to understand yourself, relationships, just everything. And all those episodes will still be there, by the way. So fascinating guests. Thank you. And what I have gathered out of all this that is a positive thing is I can feel that I have been able to make a difference with this podcast. And that's why I'm here, because I know that the change in mindset, the way that I learned how to understand my thought, emotion cycle and how that was affecting the way I was living, what I was doing, what I was not able to do, what I was able to do. So my life doesn't look anything like it did 10 years ago. I'm still married and I still have kids, but otherwise, I don't even live in the same place. So that was literally life-changing for me. And that is why I'm here, because every little bit that I can share with you of that learning, maybe it can be life-changing for you as well. So why am I acting like I have a big news to share with you if everything I'm saying is positive? Well, let's maybe make this lesson number 2. There are always 2 sides to every story. And while it is absolutely true that the podcast has had consistent growth, and I absolutely have received positive feedback. I know I'm making a difference. The growth has always been slower than what I imagined. I believe that as midlife women in particular, I have more to share with you. I believe there are other people out there that have more to share with you. And I believe that without this medium of you being able to listen in while you're driving your car or doing your dishes or doing your laundry or whatever, hanging out, you might not know some of these things, and these things matter. They may change your life. So the slow growth has been something that I've been really pondering on, not in a worried way, but in a what kind of good ideas can I come up with way? How can I reach more people? And some of you have shared the podcast, and there have been new listeners coming from that, and I so appreciate and thank you. And I want to figure out how to do that even more. What have the challenges been? Well, it's not super easy to market a podcast when you're not a marketing person. Marketing people listening, say amen. So I have done social media for a long time. I enjoy being on Instagram. I dabble in the others, certainly. Maybe you're following me there, which I appreciate. And to get someone from Instagram to listen to the actual podcast episode is a leap. And I think you, as a listener to this episode, probably understand that. It's a whole nother app. You got to go somewhere else. You got to allocate 20, 30, 40 minutes as opposed to just watching reels and things like that. So it didn't feel like the total solution. So what was the solution going to be? And here is lesson number 3. Be open to ideas that you might come across, to solutions that might present themselves, to people who might have ideas, because you never know. And as I was pondering this, how was I going to grow? How could I reach more people? I know I can make a difference for more people with this message, with this podcast, with my coaching. As I was pondering that, I went to a podcast conference this summer and I saw Courtney Elmer speak. And then I came back home and went about my business. And then I saw Courtney do a free webinar about growing and marketing a podcast. And she was speaking from a psychological perspective, which if you've listened to any of this, you probably know I find fascinating. How the brain works, what speaks to us, what draws our attention. Fascinating. And then I saw that she was taking on clients for a 6-month launch or relaunch podcast program. And so this was over a period of 3 or 4 months that I was taking in this information. I was trying to decide what would I do. And I realized, let's go for it. So I've been working with Courtney Elmer and her pod launch program. And here is the next thing I learned. If you put something out in the world and people can't tell what it's for, who it's for, or what it is right away, then it's not going to grow to anywhere near the extent it would if that was totally clear. What it is, who it's for, what it's for. And even though I love the name OMG Teach Me. And again, you hear me say, oh my goodness, all the time. I love the phrase, oh my goodness, because it feels like what people say when they're being sort of happily optimistic and going through life with a bit of wonder. I have this vision of someone kind of skipping along the sidewalk, learning new things in a happy way. And maybe that sounds silly, but to me, the joy in that, in the oh my goodness, wow, is a piece of life that I always want to be able to hold on to. So I love the name OMG Teach Me. I love the idea that we get to learn new things. And as you know, I was a teacher. However, here's what's happening with the name OMG Teach Me. People are seeing it and they think it's for teachers, or they think it's for students to help them in school. And if in that split second it doesn't make sense, they move on. So I'm not communicating clearly what this is, who it's for, and why it matters. And the funny part about that is I complain all the time about businesses and websites who use a name that doesn't make sense. There is a very big, what will we call it, home decor website that starts with a W that I order from, certainly enjoy, have had great experience with, and have always thought the name didn't make any sense. The name doesn't have anything to do with furniture or home decor. Why would they choose that name? And so they, I would imagine, had to do quite a lot of advertising so that we would now recognize that name. On the other hand, if you name a store Home Goods, for example, we know what's in that store, right? World Market, we know what's in that store. So I have said this so many times, but here's the next lesson. We don't always see our own stuff the way we would if we were outside the situation. And I'm sure this has been true in your life at some point or another. We don't always see the change we could make, or the mistake we may have made, or the pivot we need to make. Let's not even call it a mistake, pivot, because we're in the middle of the situation. Sometimes we need a friend, an outside observer, a coach, a mentor to say, hey, you know what? This might be part of the issue. And so, in spite of starting my relaunch plan and saying, I absolutely am not going to change the name, I'm going to change the name. And I'm going to change the name because I want to be able to communicate, as I said, what this is, who it's for, why it matters. Because if I'm not here to be able to speak to more people and change more lives, then what am I here to do? So I've evaluated, I've made some decisions, I'm taking some action. And the cool part of this is, here's your next lesson, it's not about failure. This is a successful podcast. I think we're in the top 40% of all podcasts now. That's cool. And at the same time, even, let me just say this, because the word failure is so heavy with meaning, isn't it? Even if it had been something I might label a failure, okay, pivot. That's a nice phrase too. Okay, pivot. So many people out there who've written books, who have well-known podcasts or movies or anything, they started, they pivoted. They went again, they pivoted. They went again, they pivoted. So I started looking at what could I change? Who am I talking to? What are people actually looking for? And who am I excited to talk to? Because here's the challenge we face as life coach, mindset coach, people helping people kind of professionals. The challenge we face is it's really hard to say, I only help this one group of people, because I know, and you know, if you are in a similar profession, that we could help lots of people. So why would we leave any of them out? It feels bad to leave them out, right? We could help anyone. But again, the reality is we have to be able to communicate quickly, right away. Who is this for? Why does it matter? What is it about? And so I decided that the people that are just in my heart to speak to are midlife women. I am in my 50s. You may be in your 40s, your 50s, your 60s. It doesn't really matter the number. There is a period of life where we have achieved something in our profession. You have had success in your job, or you have raised your kids, if that was your focus. And now you're in a transition, and your body might be kicking your butt a little bit. because we can't deny that that's not going on. And that just adds to the complication of this period of time. And the world is judgmental, maybe about our appearance, maybe about our usefulness, or we are judging ourselves because we get caught in the comparison trap. And it doesn't have to be like that. So you are my people, midlife women. And I then took a look into the data. What have been the favorite episodes over this 1.5 year period? What is the pattern that I could see there? And what does that look like? It looks like movement, healthy bodies we feel good about, and mindset. And so it's walking, it's gut health, sleep, moving your body in midlife. It's style and why we want to get dressed every day, how to boost our confidence, raising your vibration, gratitude, money mindset, self-talk, bouncing back from burnout, using fun to overcome doubt. There is just an overarching theme in there about feeling so confident and worthy in midlife that when we step out of our door, either literally or online, to start our day every day, we stand up straight. We take up space in the world and we feel good about it. And it's not toxic positivity stuff that we spew glitter all over everything in life. It's how to understand ways to really feel freaking great about what we're doing each day and to actually make decisions about that, and not to add all sorts of additional habits and rules and regulations that we have to do every day and take up extra time, but to understand, going behind all of this stuff, what do we want to believe about ourselves and tell ourselves and feel that creates a freaking amazing life. And that's what we're going to talk about. I'm taking a break over the holidays. This episode 89, is releasing on December 10th, 2024. And then after the holiday break, on January 10th, 2025, Mind Your Midlife is coming. Now, let me tell you the cool things about this. Number one, all the OMG Teach Me episodes will still be there. If you are following OMG Teach Me, you will be following Mind Your Midlife automatically. So if you haven't hit the follow button yet, hit it now. While you are listening to this episode, follow because it's coming. Now, in between that period of time, you will see the graphics change. You will see a new trailer. Please listen. It'll be 2 or 3 minutes long. It's in the works right now. And that will give you a sense of what's coming. And even better, that will be something that you can share with other people who now you're thinking, you know what? Maybe they would want to hear this. So what does Mind Your Midlife mean? Let's make sure that our thoughts and our actions and our decisions and our self-worth are at the top where we can get them so that we can freaking enjoy midlife. This can be one of the most amazing times of our life. So you'll hear me say, mind your midlife. Confidence and success, one thought at a time. We're not going to add a whole bunch of extra stuff that you have to do in your day. We're going to understand where the emotions come from, where some of the things we worry and stress over come from, and how to change that. And I will be doing plenty of episodes for you using my life and mindset coaching background, and I will have some guests on as well. Now, on January 10th, we have 10 launch episodes coming out. You can binge to your heart's content. I'm excited for you to do that. And then it will be, as it always has been, a weekly podcast going forward. Now, if anybody's checked their calendar, January 10th is a Friday. So this podcast is moving from every Tuesday to every Friday, starting in January. And I hope it becomes something that you can enjoy maybe while you're eating your lunch on Friday, or maybe while you're out taking a walk or driving home from work or looking forward to the weekend, because I want this to be a positive thing always. So starting January 10th, every Friday, Mind Your Midlife, confidence and success, one thought at a time. And let's wrap up with this. I would love for you to be involved in this launch. It is going to be exciting. There is going to be all sorts of stuff happening. So go to CherylPFisher.com/launch, and that link will be in the show notes. Make sure you know how to spell Fisher and join me to make sure that you don't miss a thing about what's going on with the launch of Mind Your Midlife. Have a wonderful holiday season. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year. Can't wait to see you January 10th.